Can anyone hear me? I can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh,
Now can you hear us?
yes, with many echoes, but I can hear you.
Okay. Let me just get this. All right. You can still hear us?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Woo. All right.
Okay. I don't want to take any more time just waiting. We have a quorum. I will, as we have Kate here joining us remotely, we will have roll call votes tonight, and I will need to be reminded of that, Dave. Thank you. You're always good for that. So let's begin with a roll call and introductions. I'm Dan Morrison, the chair. Dave Sargent here. Dave Morrow
Here.
Mark Poulin
Here.
Kate Parsons,
Here.
Adrian Sweet, Tamra Vasir, Chris Leahy, and Richard Quaitman. Okay, so we have 4 absent. Our membership is 7, and we have 2 alternates. So we have 5 members present. So we do have a quorum. We can proceed. It would take 3 votes for any motion to carry. Okay. In the absence of our normal rapporteur, would anyone like to step up for that duty? Recover it. We're being filmed, right? And recorded. Yeah. Recover the record from there and do it after the fact. But I hope to have a volunteer for that. We've done introductions, approval of minutes from our last meeting, June 24th, 2025. Adrian sent them out. Are there any suggested edits? We entertain a motion to approve. Moved. Sergeant, thank you. Second. Morrow, thank you. All in favor of approving? We'll have a roll call vote for approval of the minutes, beginning with Kate Parsons.
I was not there, so I will not vote.
And yes, thank you. Dave Morrow?
Yes.
Dave Sargent?
Yes.
Mark Poulin?
Yes.
Dan Morris, yes. So the motion carries, and we have approved the minutes for June 24th, 2025. Eric, are there any updates on membership, staff support, or issues related to our processes?
I do not have any.
Okay. We do have a process note that is actually in our business section, and we'll take it at that time. It's not just a normal administrative stroke. It's something that's a change we have to address. Let's see. Kate is the next item. Do you have anything to report from the Community Preservation Committee?
So the project there that's of concern to us is the East Gloucester Open Space project, and the city will be presenting to the CPC about that next month at the meeting next month. I believe it's August, I want to say 18th. And there is meant to be a site visit scheduled at some point before that presentation, but there is not a date for that yet, as far as I know. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Any questions for Kate?
Will you be notified of the site visit?
So there was discussion of inviting relevant city committees to these site visits. So I think that probably will happen. Yes.
Thank you, Kate. So thank you. I think we're closing that item. I just want the record to show that Tamra has joined us. So we now have 6 members present. Tamra is an alternate. You should know we have other members absent, so you'll be voting tonight. Thank you. Okay, our first order of business is, well, let me just talk about the business section. We have a pickleball update and recommendations, Holes Hill Trails project. Both of those we have presentations and have allotted 25 minutes. Feeling that's too little for the pickleball conversation. The extending the term of the open space and recreation plan, I think we can compress that from 20 minutes to more like 10 minutes. Access and signage at open space properties and trailheads. I forwarded a document to you all today that was written by Chris Leahy, as he and Richard Quaitman are the leads on that topic. I may just table this topic unless you all have particular business on it. I'm seeing positive nods of the head. Kate, this is the signage project. Are you okay with us tabling that since Chris and Richard are absent?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Can we
Upgrade.
make suggestions to that memo to Eric? Is that how that would go? Some of the
Yes.
street names are wrong and,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So the question from Dave Morrow was, all right, so Chris Leahy prepared a document that he forwarded to me and I distributed it to the committee. Of course, we cannot confer about it outside of an announced meeting, but we can comment on it by sending our comments to Eric, and he can just have kind of compile them.
Okay,
And that would, at this point, I don't think we should make any changes to it. We're just compiling them and then we'll have them in the record for when we do meet on this topic.
okay.
And we can incorporate it. That sound agreeable, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. Upgrading Gloucester sports fields. I have a very short comment on that, and Adrian's not here. She's my counterpart on that, so I think I can probably knock that out in just about 5 minutes. And report on the chair's meeting with DPW. That's going to be kind of taken up by a couple of our previous topics, so I think that'll go very quickly. With all that in mind, I might go to like 45 minutes with pickleball, and we'll see how it's going at that point. Right, is everyone comfortable with the adjustments to the agenda? And David, I see you nodding favorably. It's going to delay your presentation by 20 minutes. Is that a problem for you?
Well, honestly, I'm probably gonna be pretty quick.
Okay.
Would you guys be amenable to swapping the order?
That's
That's up to you guys.
I turn to, I want to check with our other presenter. You have a contact group here waiting. So,
Yeah.
okay,
It's entirely up to you guys.
that's the, we don't have to vote on it, but I'll just get a nod of heads and a chime in from Kate about putting Northeast Trail Services. I'm sorry, I'm missing your,
Close enough.
yes. Trail Works, move them ahead of the pickleball for a 20 to 25 minute presentation.
Sure.
Okay, all right, thank you. So let's proceed in that order. And so we'll welcome David Alden St. Pierre, Amy Blondin, and Sandy Barry of Cape Ann Trail Stewards to talk to us about the Poles Hill Trail project.
Yeah, thank you. So, my name is David Alden St. Pierre. I am, interestingly, I'm also on the open space committee for my city in Beverly, but I am a partner in a business called Northeast Trail Works. And we're a professional trail building company. And we've been talking with Cape Ann Trail Stewards about some different projects, and we're doing a trail assessment out at Poles Hill. And I believe you guys are all aware of that. And, from our perspective, I think we've got a good handle on what the trail system needs to be a good, sustainable trail for people to go out there and enjoy. And that includes just, the width of the trail and a maintenance schedule and things like that. Now, that's fairly easy for us to come up with. But what I wanted to talk to you guys, really just get some feedback, just get some input, is like, does the committee have any specific goals for Poles Hill? Does it fit into any overall plan within other open spaces within the city? Is there a plan we want to make this a jewel of the neighborhood? We want it to keep it kind of low key. I don't know what you guys might have heard over time. So I just wanted to try to get that information, try to include that within our recommendations.
Well, I will start us off. First off, thank you very much for being here.
Oh, no, happy to be here.
The CATS representatives for being here. I'll start us off by saying we have an ongoing initiative that is about providing access and information to the public about open space properties and trailheads. So the topic is of interest. And we sometimes find ourselves talking about what kind of signs are we going to put up. But I think it's a more involved project than that. We're interested in ensuring the public knows where there are open spaces that they can access how to access them, how to, whether there are any associated regulations, whether there's parking, and, how we can make it safe. And what to do in case of an emergency. So how we communicate that information specific to each site is still undetermined because we're just getting the ball rolling on this. But there's likely to be a sign initiative that would, provide for some consistency of messaging and format across a bunch of the city properties. Because I'm sure you're aware, they're all from different eras, they're all from different initiatives, and many of them look quite different and have different types of information. So the general idea of promoting access is certainly one. I will say from my experience at Poles Hill, it's I think I was there like after a fire, and it was kind of rough looking. There's a couple signs, and the parking is kind of, it's rough looking, but it's a gem, and it's a great place, and it's a place that a lot of people in Gloucester don't know about. And so, our informing them of it and making it accessible to them, I think would be really important. And hopefully if people visit, they will appreciate open spaces in Gloucester and the quality of life that they provide, and work to promote more of the city. That's my 2 cents. But Dave is our CATS rep on the committee, if you'd like to tune in.
Well, I guess a major thought as we look at all the open spaces is we want people to be able to find them and go there. So the idea that it would be a neighborhood gem that would be kind of just for that neighborhood is not really what we're about. So just that one question I wanted to point to.
Yeah, perfect.
I do think we want it to fit in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want it kind of an overblown entrance, in this quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Respect for the neighborhood in which it sits.
That makes sense.
And so I think that speaks to kind of where the parking is, in a little bit, I think is where it is right now. So it's not out in the road, like this signage at the road, but more constructed in, just to kind of respect the integrity of the neighborhood. It'd be important to the community.
And have you ever heard anything good or bad from the neighbors in that area about parking, about people going there, usage patterns, anything like that?
I can speak because I was involved in the original setting aside. And the neighbors were instrumental in our, passing the 2.5 override. And obviously on the Riverview side, there should be more parking, on that side. And that would be preferable than parking on the street in that area. The only comment I have, and I did read the whole proposal, is where you're assuming something is in a wetland, check with the conservation agent first. Okay.
Yep.
Belt-in suspenders.
Yeah, I was on Beverly's Conservation Commission, so
I am.
Yeah. So yeah, I know.
And you also probably know there are rocks that are placed in certain places to mark astronomical things. So that's kind of unique, I think, in the Gloucester open space to have it be part of the signage and information.
And I guess one of the things I wanted to confirm, because I know some places don't want signage because they don't want to draw attention to many things and kind of want to keep it close because they're afraid of, overuse of vandalism, things like that. But I agree. I think it's a really unique aspect to the property. So yeah, okay, perfect.
Pete, you want to make sure you have a chance? Anything on this topic? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Amra?
Anyone? Or just that the low key theme comes up a lot when you talk about signage and things. It does pop up a lot.
Yeah.
Low key and yet informative. If you can get the two together, it's a win, right?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the key to having low key or limited signage is having a very well-defined trail. Trail's not well-defined, then you need more signage to kind of guide people along.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit tricky up there because there's so much just rock.
It's open, yeah.
And so there's times, because I've gone up there a few times myself, walking a couple of times with some guides and a couple of times on my own, and it's easy to get lost. Once you hit some open rock faces, and find the little blue dots that blend into the lichen, you know, it's just easy to get lost, so. Anyway, but yeah, that's really it. That's all. I just wanted to again put some of that feedback from you guys.
Well, I have a naive question as a non-biologist, and not a naturalist. If one gets off of the trail and in that sort of scrubby, rocky environment, are there vulnerable species in the, off trail that we need to be concerned about and somehow?
Nothing specific that I'm aware of. I think, the general consensus would be, once you've defined a trail, you want to try to keep the natural areas natural to keep the traffic to a limited corridor.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, you want to try to keep people on their path,
Yeah.
but I'm not aware of, and you're shaking your head, no. So I guess I'm correct. That there's nothing
Playing other
specific.
things in my head.
And sorry, but no, I forget, I did get your name.
Dave,
Dave?
maybe you can remember that name.
I'll do my best, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Dave was nodding his head that there's nothing up there, so I guess I'm correct in that. Yes, yeah, I know, like, there's some areas that are really high up, but that do have alpine, plants that are much more fragile, but I don't think that's the case here.
Okay, so that's another day. I just wanted, what's the next step? What's the next step in the process here? What's happening?
Yeah, so I spoke with Mike Hale this morning, just to, again, get some of the basic consensus, and there was really nothing earth shattering or really out of the left field from him. I had a couple of emails back and forth with Beverly Fire Department. So I wanted to get their input to see if there's something specific they're looking for in terms of being able to navigate the area, if there's a fire, if there's someone who's lost or injured. Once they get that information, I've already done a lot with, so the basic trail treadway and some guidance posts and, some suggestions on what can be done in terms of signage. So I just got to put that together.
Gloucester Fire.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you said that.
So oh, yeah. Beverly's gonna come up here. They're gonna, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Gloucester Fire, yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, again, nothing specific. I just want to try to put our recommendations within the context of everything you guys are working to do.
Hey, actually, one more thing occurs to me, and I'm sorry to go back and forth, but as you're coming in, if I remember, the main part of the trail is like double track.
Correct. Yeah, it seems like it's Sunset Road that goes right up and over, yeah.
And at present, is there any kind of block or barricade to keep vehicles from going there?
Like a bollard or something, I don't think there
Not
is.
anymore. There was boulders and lobster traps at one end that prevented the fire trucks from coming up to access the fire road. That's all been removed, so it's wide open.
Well, I understand the fire department would need to have access, but I'm sure they have successful access in places where there is a gate. Other wood properties, woodlands.
After the fire, we requested an iron gate at both ends with the fire department having a key. But that hasn't been done yet. That request hasn't been honored yet.
I would think that something addressing the double track and access would be part of the railway plan.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, because you want to keep access for emergency vehicles, but you want to discourage anyone up there on their ATVs, whatnot, yeah.
Oh, hi, Counselor Gilman. Hi, nice
So
to see you.
thank you. It's great to be here.
Okay.
As an 8-year ward counselor, that area was very near and dear to me. One of the things that I could visualize being really awesome, I remember going up with Sandy and Cindy and Mary Ellen LeBlanc and taking the tour, and we did cleanups up there. But I think one of the things that might be kind of cool and not that expensive is just a wooden entry post with a scan code of how you can get to the history of this beautiful location. Just something really short. We don't need hard copies of brochures like we tried to do up at Dogtown. It's too much to maintain and they get trashed.
Yeah.
But I just think something like that would be really nice because we all did put in 1% of our taxes into it. And I think it's a nice learning experience. Even the Girl Scouts might go up there, the Boy Scouts on hikes, but if there was just some routine learning tool, I think that would be really cool.
Great, thank
But
you.
of course, you
No,
guys are managing it, but it's just my thought from a integration into the community and not going overboard, but being tasteful.
Yeah, there's QR codes out of Dogtown, right? You know, link you up to the history. That's really cool.
Thank you very much. Did you hear, I didn't know when you came in, and I apologize for not welcoming you, but did you hear when I was talking about kind of an initiative of the Open Space Committee, get our brains around the idea of access, providing access and information to the public?
Yes.
And I think your idea that a QR code is a really good one, because if they're going to the computer, you can always update the information. It's
Right.
expensive and hard to, impossible to
Right.
update a sign.
And it's not bad for the environment. It's just. Everybody carries around their iPhones, right? So it's easy.
We all have our phones.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank-
Do any of the members have questions for David?
Should get name and address for the record.
Oh, Counselor Gilman, yes. As someone who spoke, I think we have, we're on record. Our other guests are on the agenda.
Okay, sorry.
David is on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
I just have a question.
Sandy Berry.
Yes, we have Sandy
Okay.
and Amy on the agenda to
Sorry.
speak. So,
They're very important.
It's keep me in line.
yes.
Would the QR code go to an existing website like the Gloucester? Do we have a Polls Hill like page that would take you, or that would need to be created?
We would just
Yeah.
go off the city site.
Okay.
Certainly if it's useful or in addition to, or either in addition to or in lieu of. Make that page on Cape Ann Stewart's site as well, or at least, or have a link on our site to the city page if it ends up being housed at the city.
If I may, Tom, I think that's a great question, and I think that's also part of the access and information project. Is if, what are we going to put at the site, and what is going to be kind of the meta information or the background information that's available to someone who can access it with their phone. And there are some open spaces that are linked by the QR codes in Dogtown there, and it goes to a city website, and there's a little paragraph in the city's website about that. Maybe we could do something more elaborate that includes some mapping trails and parking and other details like that all along Osrc.
Maybe that should be consistent too,
Yeah, absolutely, yes,
not like everybody has.
yes, and link to a map.
Yeah.
Okay, very good idea. Okay, any further questions for our guests on this topic? Counselor Gilman on this topic?
I guess I was still not understanding what is the actual next steps. What,
So just putting together our proposal and submitting it to Cape Ann Trail Stewards.
Okay.
Which again is the meat of it is on the trail itself, the conditions, what it would take to make a good, walking path. But then around that talks about recommendations for signage, recommendations for parking, recommendations for messaging for the community,
so there's no more stuff that we have to do.
unless you
Not
want
at this-
to.
Not at this stage.
You're off
And
the
then
hook.
the proposal, am I right, in you'll also have some price estimates
Yeah.
for, you doing the work, or a combination of volunteers doing the work with maybe them doing a few, specific things that are, beyond the scope of volunteers, but, yeah, so once we receive the assessment, our next step will be to talk to Mike Hale and, talk to our own board, and then, bring it back to you guys with what do we want to do? What do we want to fund? And then, Cape Ann Trail Stewards would take the lead in trying to find grant money if we ended up, paying for, a significant part of that being done. We'll see what the balance is of volunteers implementing versus professional.
Thank you very much. I think we'll close this item with our thanks to Cape Ann Trail Stewards and their contractor, David Pierre Saint Aubin.
Just David's fine.
David.
You can get it right.
Northeast Trail Works. I apologize for messing up both your company and your personal name in the course of this meeting, but we do appreciate what you're doing for Cats and for Gloucester.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Aside from the agenda for just a moment and ask Councilor Gilman, is there a particular topic? Definitely.
I was interested in the pickleball conversation.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I just want
Working with
to
Larry
make sure
for 3 years on
we're
that.
using your time wisely.
And I have a city council meeting at 6:30, but you go on your pace
Well,
and I'll.
pickleball is next.
Awesome.
We're on it right now. And I will begin by, thank you to pickleball advocates who are here. In approving the agenda, I did not include Larry Maver's name as a presenter, and I would like to seek the committee's indulgence in correcting that. And so if you could give me a nod, we're gonna have Larry present as, Mark is representing the working group as the, committee's member on it. But I want to make sure that the committee is fine with. And Kate, we're looking to you. Okay, so I apologize for not including Larry's name there, but I'd like to invite Larry. Thank Larry for being here tonight. Invite him to make a short presentation that'll inform our discussions.
Great, thanks very much. Is that online?
Yeah, I can
It
share.
should be
really
the same,
quickly.
yeah. It was the, it's labeled draft, but
Yep.
I don't think you changed anything since then, so.
By way of background, to introduce this topic, Val and I and Terry Doan were on the Avis Murray Boulevard Tennis Committee group 5 or 6 years ago, whenever that was. And going into this, I thought trying to start an initiative for pickleball courts in Gloucester would be similar to that. But there's one fundamental difference. The Boulevard tennis courts were a site, old courts, old fence. And so that was already a given that, okay, they could go here. That is really the fundamental difference that we're going to talk about with pickleball. Back in the tennis example, we got a cost estimate from the DPW. We raised private money, public money, went through all the wheels to move that money around. DPW executed the project and all was good. But the difference here is we're not at that starting line yet. In your plan, I did present 2.5 years ago when Heidi Wakeman was the chair, and we talked about it then. It's in your long-range plan to invest in the different public courts here, as parks, playgrounds, et cetera, and pickleball was on the list nicely, I think, from a citizen survey and feedback. What I'd like to do today is update you all at one time, one place on what we've gone through with the working group and walking around town. And as I'll talk about in the next slide, the next step is for your group to make a recommendation to the mayor of possible sites. Are there any? Are there none? So Mark and I, along with the mayor, Joe Cahill, Mike Hale, met in February and talked about this process that we've been going through for a while now, with the objective to outline all the steps that would take place, that need to take place to move this project ahead. The mayor did approve this in an email back to me that, yes, this is what we would do. So we're at this stage right here. We've had a pickleball working group, Eric, Mark, myself, Dan's been part of that, looking through all the sites, and I'll walk through that. But the step that we have to take is your group is what the mayor is looking for to come back to his office to say, here's our recommendations. Post that, we would go through as similar to the tennis court project. We need a cost and schedule estimate. There was also a new step to have an MOU among the parties involved in this. Once we get that, it's back to us. We got to go ask for money, go to CPC as well, possible state grants. Beverly got $200K for their courts out of a state grant, and do the rest of this. So love to get past the yellow step right here. Next slide. So here's just set the baseline. What is required for a pickleball court? It's fundamentally the same thing as a tennis court, a hard surface, nets, and a fence around it. The courts in Manchester at Sweeney Park are a perfect example. 6 courts. It's on top of, in fact, an old skateboard park, and it was a tennis court previously. It's just a painted surface with low nets for the pickleball, nets surrounding it. It's nice to have parking, benches, water, other access around, but not a full requirement. The court size is basically 120 by 120 for 6 courts. And the recommended distance should be 600 feet. Pickleball's Achilles heel is noise. And so, that's, you'll see newspaper articles about neighbors up in arms, and rightfully so. It is a noisy thing. We have that problem at Bass Rocks. So we have limited playtime. Sweeney Park is also a good example. They were very close to neighbors and lots of complaints, lots of problems. They put up acoustic panels lining the edges of the court, the fences, and it's worked out. But if you can put them further away, you don't have to go through. There is a bit of maintenance that you got to put them up each year, take them down, scrub them, etc. But it does work. But with the noise panels, they were about 150 feet away. It can work. So we all met and went through looking at a map, an aerial photo survey of the whole town, and look where are possible properties beyond the ones we had already been looking at. So we made a list of all the places, distance to neighbors. We had some comments on what the pros and cons or what those were, and so a bunch of them down here immediately off the list, too close to neighbors, or just did not make sense. Next slide, please. We'll get to the details of some of them. We also came up with what I think is a really interesting list of things you should look at for the courts. As we already talked about, the biggest problem is noise. So that's a concern, as well as is it being used by other people or sharing the land? So there's not congestion or conflict of that. Construction costs, the different places may have different site prep requirements. And very definitely, we'll talk about this with the Magnolia Woods because it is capped land over a landfill, et cetera. So that's a big concern. Safety is also a concern that you don't want people out in the middle of nowhere. Somebody gets hurt. How can they get back to their car? Or, it just is safe from, bad people. So a public area that's closer to the road, lighting is a good thing. And, keep that in mind. These are almost more nice things logistically. Is there parking there? Well, I'd say take it back to practical thing. You don't want, cars on the street. Restroom availability would be a nice thing. How busy an area of Gloucester is it? Is if you all of a sudden plant this pickleball place here, is that gonna, change the whole character of the area? It's also nice for it to be, central so people can easily get to it. And in the past, did talk with the Council on Aging a bit. They were very much, in favor of this, as long as there would be no charge for this and there would not be as public courts. But it's also good if it's accessible for CADA to bring people there and back and forth. So that's a plus. And then last thing, court maintenance. It's like the Boulevard tennis courts don't require a lot of maintenance. They're courts, but the DPW does clean the area around them. And would they have easy access for that? So we considered all these and looking through each of the sites. So now I think we'll jump into more detailed sites. So we made a stoplight chart, a little maybe hard to read here, but looking at Green Street behind Market Basket, and I'll have a picture of that. We'll talk about the pros and cons of that. Magnolia Woods, we had 4 sites on our original list, which we'll get to that as well. But these are no longer considerations for really fishermen and youth soccer reasons, but we have a new site over there. Stage Fort Park, we considered opposite where the ball hockey is. We also did take a quick look where the old volleyball courts were, but those are right next to the water. Basically, also too close to houses. So that was a non-starter in terms of a real consideration. And we looked at, considered Swinson Field in East Gloucester, which had a lot of red, no good, because it's really not just appropriate. The neighborhood's very, Mount Pleasant Street, just 2-lane road. It's in the middle of the woods. It was also close to neighbors, so off the list. Zoom back out. After our May meeting, there was proposed follow-up, and I don't know if it was Dan and Eric both, but talking with the fishermen youth soccer people to understand their thoughts on Magnolia Woods, and also with the new softball league that is going to be using the Green Street fields. The Mag Woods. Mark and I went up there. David, you were there as well. We took a walk around last year and looked at 4 different sites, and those were on our list. I say the city received, but I think the city really solicited a study from Weston and Sampson because this is capped land, former landfill. I think you dug up a map of the whole area. Basically, the capped land surrounded all the sites we're looking at. Actually, their summary of their proposals on the next slide, if you want to see more detail, but they talked about, whether this area is in this riverfront area that I'm still not quite certain of what that means. But there were a lot of things that they brought up that Mass DEP would need to be involved with to allow permitting of a pickleball site in these areas. No action was taken on that proposal. And there was also no real initiative to say we're building courts here, but at a city council meeting last fall, there were 2 people from Fisherman Youth Soccer that got up and, greatly opposed Magnolia, any of the sites in Magnolia was being considered for it because of a conflict with their field usage and parking, which is a real thing. It's very, very crowded up there. But this year, you guys talked with them, and so the upper fields were taken off the table, but they proposed a lower practice field that we had looked at but didn't put on the list before as a possible area. The next slide will show you a picture of that. So this is, the entrance is right up here. So you're driving right in. This was an area that just grass that the soccer parents used to use for parking. And that was the lower practice area, if you will. So the white box there is the 120 by 126 court area. That all of this area is capped land over the landfill. It's, as you see, pretty close to water there. I don't know what the restrictions or allowances are for how close you can be to a wetland or a waterway there. That area is reported to be pretty wet. I don't have a topo map. This is higher right here. It slopes down. And so this is nicely flat, which would be great for building something, but it is low. And in general, Mag Woods does have a lot of water problems at the soccer fields, et cetera. So I don't know, but that's a concern. And this would definitely bring that 50K study back into play of, could you put something here or not? And also from our perspective as trying to raise money for pickleball courts, it's just about impossible to ask people to give money for a study where the answer could be no. So that's kind of a non-starter from our side. So trying to summarize, it's really the best site with respect to neighbors. It's 1,000 feet away from 127's there, so it's great for that. But loads of unknowns because of its history as a landfill. And it's also not in the middle of anywhere. So I don't know that CADA would even go up that way. It's, it's distant. So it's on the list. And I'm not making a judgment here. We'll go on to the next one. My job is to explain each one. This is just FYI, what they talked about. So, it's a post-closed landfill, and any post-closure development will likely require permitting from Mass DEP, et cetera. So,
Would you care to entertain questions as we go along?
Please.
From the members, or at the end?
right, as we go along.
I have a couple. Can you, I understand Beverly has built their pickleball on a capped landfill.
Yes.
Does that service as a model?
I spoke to their Parks and Rec man, Bruce Doig, and he was happy to share his experience, but not with me. It would be with a Mike Hale or, somebody that's going to be involved with the construction. So he was very willing, got his number, to say how that worked out.
And in that conversation,
Although capped lands, I'm sure there's different varieties of them.
of course, but the general concept has been successful, but we don't know about its local application because we haven't had a conversation between Mike Hale and this gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, he could be a resource for that reason. And
Okay. My recent conversation with Fishermen Youth Soccer, I think I would characterize it a little bit differently. I spoke with Judy Fleck, who is the president of the organization. We had a nice hour-long conversation. And she appreciates greatly the priority that is given to Fishermen's Youth Soccer, but understands that they're using the public space. And if they have to flex, that would be something that they would have to tolerate. So that someone, I don't know who spoke at the council meeting, I'm sorry to say, but
the gentleman and a lady.
Was it Peter Canavo?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
okay.
And,
Okay, well, in my more recent conversation, that's the message that I got. And she expressed a preference for having it sited at the lower fields, but acknowledged that, you know.
But it's a well-used area and it's great for them. And I'll digress for a second. Sweeney Park in Manchester that week, Gloucester people go play it all the time. It's extremely popular, gets a lot of use. And so there will be, as soon as you allow the courts to be open in the morning, people will be there. It's 8 o'clock at Sweeney. It's 7 a.m. at Story Street in Rockport. Pickleball players show up and they'll be there all day in the afternoon, after people finish work or, later afternoon. So there's going to be people there and certainly on the weekend. So it's a strong consideration of, what else is that space being used for? Because there will be pickleball players there. So just kind of managing the traffic and space.
So, a couple of comments, if I may. The bus goes right by the Magnolia Woods because it goes to Magnolia.
Okay.
There is a route.
Okay,
It's
so
not
they're
so
there.
frequent, but.
But they,
yeah,
on
but they could stop there. They're
Okay,
going
well,
right by.
that's good.
I'm wondering if, well, yeah, that's pretty swampy down there, so you'd have to consider building it up. But I'm wondering if we could get a smaller, cheaper study just to decide the yes or no, that wouldn't be so involved in the details of how you'd actually construct it.
Yeah.
I,
From a wetlands standpoint on the riverfront, and this is just first blush, I think it's very permittable, from the riverfront area. The whole area is degraded now. So it'd be very easy to put in some native plantings and stuff like that, between where you're proposing to put the courts, in the wetlands. And so you'd actually be improving the biological function of that area. That being said, it's first blush. Second thing is, when you're looking at a capped landfill, that's a wild card. And I don't know what DEP is going to be saying about this particular thing. And the third thing I want to say is 50K seems a little bit steep for this particular proposal. We sent things out for third-party review quite a bit. And that seems to be a little steep for what I imagine the requirements are. I'm wondering if they itemized exactly what they were going to be doing.
They gave a breakdown. They did.
I think it was for more the entire Mag Woods.
So
many meetings.
So if we're looking at,
So let me continue.
Yeah.
If it is 50K, I think the benefit is that it benefits the whole city, not only for the pickleball, but for the whole capped landfill area, because there are other things that it could do. So it's like ripple effect of if you put money in here, it not only helps pickleball, but it helps youth soccer, helps, perhaps baseball further out and everything else. So it's not just the 50K for pickleball, but it's something really, I think, that the city should invest in.
I like the sounds of that. I'll like to add though, this was kind of, I think, last year, the game in September, so their bid, but, the city did not wish we pickleball people to call Weston and Sampson and ask details. So I had no contact with them, and as we were told not to. But it could be, ask them to sharpen their pencil or how, I don't know if there was a city meeting with them or did they just get this proposal in the mail and that was it.
So another comment. Big danger to Magnolia Woods is people driving on the fields. And that has happened even in the daytime. If we had something like this where people were there all the time, that would be great.
Right, it would be deterrent.
That's, the Cape and Trail stores have learned that, you want to keep bad people out of an area, you get good people in there. That's the thing. So I'm excited about the possibility of having regular attendees at Magnolia Woods all the time. And I think that would encourage the city to give them more focus.
We just put in context, it's 6 courts. It's almost always double, so there's, 24 people playing there. So you would want to use this space over here because there's no other for parking for the cars, and there's people waiting and so forth. So there would be a gaggle of people there.
One of my interests is to get that to be an official parking lot and have a gate above it to protect the
Yeah.
fields. So this would fit nicely with that because the parking would be right there and the gate could stay closed while the pickleball people walked in there. So they wouldn't.
You're just talking, the gate would be somewhere down.
But no, higher up, lower, somewhere right in there, right in there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they could walk through.
So that,
Around the gate.
yeah.
The pickleball people could jump
So-
right over.
This is.
They're in good shape.
It would be a definitely plus for the things that I wanted to
To kill
see. in
two
my-
birds.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we all drive to Sweeney Park, and this is closer along the way. Yep. We just have 2 more sites to talk about.
Yeah, shall we move on? Yeah.
So Green Street. This is more like a 2023 photo with the new softball field in place there. Not a lot of space there. They've got their parking lot right here. I put in just 3 courts, so a 60 by 120, and showed the distance, like 250-ish feet to the neighbors there. It really feels like it's congested. You're just shoehorning courts in there. The softball usage is not really known yet of when the people are going to be there. Here's the field. There's actually, home run netting up here to protect the parking lot, but you may want to have to think about adding it here as it's adjacent to it. And so the pattern of usage is not, I think, established yet.
It's a new.
So as I said, with work, you could squeeze this thing in there into that space. I just see a lot of conflicts. It's not a big area back there. And really I think the investment to just only build 3 courts isn't worth it. Just building 3 courts or 6, I bet there's not much delta in the construction price. And with all that effort for only 3 courts, it's a hard one in my mind.
I think we get a little pushback from people that are bemoaning the loss of Meadows Field. So
Yes.
I think you'd be.
Right, yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and you're doing what? Oh, yeah, so 2 more now. So this skate park was looked at as it's ideal. In fact, that's what Sweeney Park in Manchester was a skate park. It's flat already. It's a hard surface. You'd probably redo it. But in the meeting with the mayor, Jill Cahill brought up a problem. No, you're not going to take an asset away from the youth for this unless you're ready to replace it somewhere. So that would just be extended into the future in a big way. It's a nice site, but it's also, as Val knows, there's some neighbors that were very close. They were somewhat aggrieved of other work that went on there. It's pretty close to the neighbors. So it's great from a construction standpoint, but I don't think good for other reasons. And then
It would take noise abatement, sure.
yeah,
Even that,
and it's even still a little close for that because they're up higher. The neighbors are up higher. Then the last one is Stage Fort Park. So the pickleball courts, just simulated court footprint is the exact same size as the tennis courts up here. They get a lot of use. It's nicely distant from Western Ave places. Whether it's right here, could be slid up this way or more into the water. All that stuff's TBD. If there's a slight grade there, but I think and, construction people would figure that out. There's the parking over here, restrooms here. Kate, of course, goes there. So it's on the list for sure. And, I don't, wind can be an issue playing tennis, but not often. It's fine. I think we'll probably want some site inspection on how much is this ruining the view there? Well, you tuck it away in the back, it's there, but again, I'll show my bio. I think it's an ideal spot, but there can be other considerations. But anyway, that's the last one. We'll be quiet and take questions.
One of the things that I need to mention is that sound echoes over water. So 600 feet probably won't do it.
Well, I'm just doing land to land.
Right, but when it hits the water, probably everybody in the fort will hear it. Yeah. Why do you think, that?
That's pretty far away. I'm not trying to disagree. I just feel that's a big distance.
Somebody can pass gas on Rocky Neck and you can hear it on the boulevard. So,
It's a strange phenomenon, I agree.
you're right.
Interesting. You could probably get a recording and play it and see what happens,
From spending my whole life on the water, it reverberates. You can look it up scientifically if you want.
Yep.
That's an important hurdle. The second thing is, it's almost like making Sageford Park a athletic complex. And it's fine on the landward side, but on the water side, it's kind of nice to have that pastoral where people can walk and enjoy that. So it really takes away some of the character of Sageford Park.
All right. Do you have questions for Larry about any of the sites or the process or the okay. No one has questions. Kate, do you have any questions?
It's probably very early days, but I was just wondering if you had, if you thought funders for a pickleball court might be similar to tennis, or had you thought about who might fund this, in terms of grants, et cetera?
I guess with respect to private citizens, there are a lot of enthusiasts. In fact, 3 summers ago, I put a petition online. There were, 300 people signed it immediately. So not that they're all ready to give money, but there's a lot of people that play. It almost feels like more pickleball players than tennis players nowadays. So we would reach out to them. I don't know how deep their pockets are. With respect to the state, I did speak with the Beverly Parks and Rec guy who gave me the name of the grant they got for $200K. And there's another one and they're like 6 months cycle difference. And so haven't submitted anything. In fact, the city would need to submit it, but we would certainly volunteer to help, provide inputs to that. But I would definitely like to go down that route as that is real money and potentially available. On a construction standpoint, it's, the tennis courts 6 years ago were about 100K, 110K. So this should be on that same order, but with inflation, et cetera.
So you would plan to, could you solicit individual donations have you found a nonprofit?
We would, we didn't go down the road of establishing a nonprofit yet. Last time we linked up with the Gloucester Fund in order to collect the private donations, and we did get a CPA grant for maybe 30% of the overall cost.
Okay, great.
But there's a process there that I'm not close to, but I know we were aligned with the Gloucester Fund in order to collect the money and then be able to transfer that money without ourselves, the tennis people, establishing a nonprofit.
So the Gloucester Fund was the recipient of the CPA award. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Or any of these other funding sources possible for the 50K study? I know you'd say you wouldn't want to go ask people for money, but it could be no, but
CPC would be the logical one.
Yeah, see, the community preservation might be for that 50K study, but the reality there, that's going to be a year-long process to submit and, be acted upon and then money granted. So that's like pushing it down the road, you know, a year and a half, 2 years really to get the 50K study. I'd love to see it done just so we wouldn't have the unknown,
Yeah.
but that would be way down the road.
Other questions for Larry? Right. At the moment, Larry, thank you very, very much. We will confer and have some deliberations here. And we may have a question or two further for you. So thank you.
I appreciate your help in all of this. Thank you.
Well, you're quite welcome, and we really appreciate your leadership and energy and persistence around this topic. I know it's probably been a frustrating, I can't imagine your frustration, though, rather
I
than
got a lot of those.
rather than trying to enumerate them. All right. So for the committee, tonight, I have in mind that, well, first off, we are tasked with making a recommendation to the mayor's office on the preferred future pickleball site or sites. That's our task. And so this would likely be a memo to the mayor that says the Open Space Committee has met, has gotten a lot of information and input, and here's what their decision is. A quorum has decided that this is the best site, or that these are the best sites. I think it's important to note that no site is absolutely perfect. All of the sites, could potentially, all of the that we, Larry really profiled tonight, could potentially host courts, but each has some issue. And it's a matter of determining when does an issue become a non-starter. And I think you can kind of contemplate them. The way my brain was working around this was to think of them as sort of site preparation and build out issues, and then the future and use and suitability for future use issues. And if when does a build out and site preparation issue rise to the level of disqualifying a site, and and vice versa. So that's just how my brain works. It's not that you have to categorize them that way, but I was kind of parsing these things and trying to figure, well, if you can get over these hurdles in some amount of time, if it's a better place in the long run, does that lend it to ease of use and ease of maintenance and long time success? I don't know if we can do this particular calculus, like how big a deal the upfront work is and how insurmountable it seems, based on whether it's, Larry's, we can't estimate the success of Larry's fundraising. We might have some idea or think we have an idea about whether this contract item could be reduced in price and, reduced in, having a tighter focus. But what I'm getting at is I think that any recommendation we make will have some qualification around it. The committee can support siting at this particular place with these concerns or these reservations or these, exclamation marks. And so as we deliberate here, I want you to just have that in mind, that no site is going to be perfect. And if there's something that we can say about a site that says, yes, if, or yes, also, and, or yes, but, yes, it needs these things to come true to make it usable and fit in the neighborhood and fit in that location, those sorts of things. So I don't want us to have, we have to eventually have an up-down vote on, do we have a recommendation for the mayor? But I also want to think about it in a problem-solving way. Is there a set of circumstances that could make site X really good, or make us feel good about it? If there aren't, then that's fine. We vote no. I don't want to push us to vote yes for something that we don't feel good about, or that individuals don't feel good about. That's fine, but let's troubleshoot the ideas as we go along. Is that a fair way to approach it?
At least for the Magnolia Woods site, I'm seeing another flow chart
Okay,
with decision points, that we could say, we recommend this, but at this decision, we determine can we get the study done? And then if the study says yes, and then, there's a bunch of ifs in there, and if they all come the right way, it could work out, and we could perhaps build that into our suggestion. If this happens this way, and if this happens this way, good. Rather than just say, we don't care about the obstacles, this is it, or we don't like it because there's obstacles, and we could build decision points into our recommendation.
yeah, it can be presented in a way that says, site X is acceptable to the committee. We understand that there are, these checkpoints to its,
Right.
its development. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
thinking, one of those flow chart, the little diamonds, does this, and then it goes this way or this way.
Yeah.
So, and then if we said that we favor it, assuming this gets to the bottom correctly.
Yeah.
Then that
Okay.
doesn't, I don't know,
Okay.
because
No,
there's so
that's
many unknowns.
right. And I think that's the case with probably all of the sites. There are some unknowns that could become issues, and hopefully we can identify some of those
Yeah.
unknowns in each case.
Will the mayor's office be able to make a decision on which of these to pursue if we give him that much vagueness or
Well,
indeterminateness?
mayors are paid to make complicated decisions, and I don't think, I think our task is to make a recommendation of suitable site or sites, and we can do that. I think it would be a service to the mayor's office to say, and there are these challenges with that particular site, or there are these additional
Potential.
steps that would have to be taken. So I think that's a fair way to go. I don't think we should just send Larry's presentation to him and say, what do you think? It's our job to do that initial screening, and come up with. Yes, Kate.
I think too, at least with Mag Woods, in addition to the buts and the caveats, I think there's that bigger picture to acknowledge too, in that investing in this study may help us to begin to solve a number of problems. I've been on this committee for a year and a half, and the issues with Magnolia Woods are clearly persistent, and there are many of them. And so this could be the beginning to starting to address some of those in a more concrete way. And again, we can't say that is certainly true, but it's not, I think the contingencies are not just negative. I think there are some positive contingencies as well.
I agree.
Dan, may I have just 1 minute?
Of
I know
course.
you're in discussion.
Of course.
but- So I kind of like the feeling of what we're talking about right now. One of the things that has become evident to me is that with Mag Woods, for example, if this group was respectful to the two big events that they have there with with the real heavy days when all this, when it's crazy, it's more than just a little game.
Yep.
My son played soccer there.
Yeah.
And if you could like make a commitment that on those particular days, you would accept that pickleball would be closed in the morning from blank to blank or something like that. And also opportunities with the pickleball folks would help with like a cleanup day of the whole field and just some really good feel-good things. But, in looking at that opportunity to gate off where the cars are coming in, that in itself is a massive, wonderful thing. And they might look at that as, hey, you know what? That might be a good investment of CPA funds or something, just. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But I look at this as throw those bonuses in to solve
Yep.
other problems and make sure that the folks that, are protective to what they feel is already commotion down there know that we wouldn't be going all the way down, we wouldn't, and we'd have these barriers that are going to help them. So it's getting to yes, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so to respond to Councillor Gilman and for the benefit of those who are either listening in by video or those of you who are attending, very briefly go through. You may know there have been vandals coming up and riding on the fields, on the lower field. There's also the problem of people having to park on Route 127 when the gate is closed. That's both illegal and dangerous. But there's lots to do in Mag Woods when soccer's not happening. You know, the great trails, there's birding, you can fly your drone, you can, just go cross-country skiing. There are gobs of things to do. So what we've been asking for some time now is an interior gate that would allow people to access interior parking so they can be parked safely and legally and do all those things year round. It would have to be abutted with large rocks to prevent vehicles from getting up there. That's one item. Another is that Mag Woods playing fields are in really bad condition. And we have just started a project where we're trying to get a full inventory of field usage and needs so that we can then do some sort of succession planning towards the overhaul of all the fields at O'Malley and all the fields at Mag Woods. And so that's a big deal. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe $1 million to do that all out. And so we need to fit whatever we're talking about with Magnolia Woods sort of in this context of greater attention and greater access and really making it a first-rate destination sporting venue for the city and recreational and woodland for the city. And Katz has done a great job with the trail systems there. There's a lot of great stuff going on there. So I don't want to elaborate on that anymore because we have pickleball to talk about, but that background was needed. Yeah.
That study they're proposing would help all of those.
Presumably, right, and I think it's going with money, if we're concerned about the cost of it, then comes a different conversation.
Okay,
So what
so
would it take to just do the lower field?
what I would propose is that and you can help me with process here, but we have 4 of the top, they started with 16 or 18 down to 4, and it's Green Street, the site at stage 4, it's the Skate Park and Magnolia Woods, probably the lower area. And Larry presented on all of those and some of the merits and some of the challenges at each one of those sites. What I would propose is perhaps we should have a vote on each one as to whether it can be a recommendation to the mayor.
Or maybe I can make a motion to, approve Meg Woods on the lower section.
Right?
And then we could, if there's a second, then we could discuss.
Okay, I was gonna go the other way and see if there's any that we can remove from the list.
Well, I was trying to make it shorter.
Okay. All right. I do think we ought to not just focus on Mag Woods. I think
Okay.
it's important to be heard on all of these.
Okay.
On all of these
Sure.
sites. In that there are advocates for, other sites and I think we ought to stand behind our principles here. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Originally there were 16 sites. Right? We didn't do this level of detail work on all those 16. Right, it's just for the record, there's many of those other sites fall into the same category as smaller, so we didn't draw little distance arrows and go through the whole stoplight charts on all of those 16. The committee, looked at 16 initially and got it down to about, 6 or so, and now down to 4.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's still too many to pass on, although I personally don't think so, but
So could we recommend any of these four? All of the four that now
We
are,
are to recommend suitable site or sites.
That's where it gets site or sites,
Yeah.
right? Is it one or is it, we got it down to four, roll the four on the table and.
So what I would suggest is that we have a motion and is to recommend, we'll go through the list, and if anyone would like to recommend or move to recommend, for example, Green Street as a site for pickleball, and we get a second, then we have a discussion. And it's in the discussion where you say, okay, what would it take to make this acceptable? If we don't get a motion, then it's off the table. If we have a motion and a second, then we can discuss what's good, what's bad about it, what needs to be done to it to make it acceptable to the whole group. And if we can't come up with anything, then we vote it, we call the vote, we vote it down, and we move to the next one.
I can make a motion for discussion purposes only,
Okay?
and I do so move.
For
Discussion purposes only.
of Green Street.
Yes.
Of Green Street, okay. For the purposes of discussion, do we have a second? Need a second, all right, or we need to go through, if it's for the purposes of discussion only, I don't even know that we need a motion, but, all right. But as we're going down this line, so we have a second from Mark. We will have a roll call vote.
Well, I thought we would be discussing.
Oh, right.
This is just the purpose.
If it's a matter of discussion.
Right, yeah.
Then we have to,
Then after the discussion, then we have the vote.
yes, I don't want to get too bogged down in this, but
Well, that's why.
all right. If it's a matter of discussion, I think we can just discuss it.
For Green Street.
All right, let's discuss Green Street, focus on Green Street initially. And if at the end of 5 minutes, we have enough basis for a motion, someone wants to forward a motion, then we will accept that for, consideration. Fair enough?
Could we see the map again,
Pulling
please?
it up again.
Yes.
This is the,
Okay, well, while Eric is doing that, all right, so Green Street. Here's the site. It would be 3 courts. 250 feet. This is greater than the distance at, in Magnolia. There would have to be sound suppression.
So looking at this map and from hearing Adrian's discussion about parking, I'm thinking there's a good possibility they're gonna want to extend that parking lot right into where that pickleball court is proposed. Because they have problems with when one team is leaving, the other team is coming, they don't have any place to park, they can't park across the street, there's some real complaints. This seems like a logical place to just extend that parking lot.
It does.
And so, if we're talking about conflicts with potential future uses, I think
I just don't think we know enough about, so it's too new to know about what else is gonna be done.
well, they already are having games and
No, they are.
people coming and going and already they think the
Right.
parking isn't good enough.
Right, already, and you need space to, warm up, you're playing toss to warm up, so you do need a lot of, having, I've played some baseball for years, and when one team comes, the other
Yeah.
gets ready, there's all over the place, playing catch, playing toss, playing.
Yeah.
Pepper or whatever they're
The
doing.
funders have said that, or the advocates have said that it would be difficult to solicit funds for just 3, or it's not, perhaps it's not, build out is not cost effective
Yeah.
for 3, since a lot of it is site prep.
Right.
You might as well build 6, or it's more cost effective to
Right.
build more.
Bang for the buck.
So, on the other hand, this is a field that has been worked rather recently and is in really good shape. It's flat, it's compact, it's maybe ready to go. I'm just. Any
It'll
further
be-
thoughts?
It leads itself to not only the political consideration of Meadows Field, but the political consideration of, you just redid all of this field. Why didn't you consider this? You know,
Well,
That's, I'm sorry, I think that's out of our scope. The politics of it are beyond our scope.
Well, I think one of the things that they said was community impact, public opposition to existing or future uses. So I think it falls underneath the criteria.
Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Fascinating, and I'll watch the rest on Zoom tomorrow.
Very good of you to join us.
What would make this acceptable to me would be 6 courts. We can't get 6 courts in, right? And so I don't think this one is probably done all right, in my opinion.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Kate, do you have any comments or questions?
Right, I just don't see how we could recommend this and,
Okay.
Has none.
Okay, no, okay. All right. Is there anyone who would care to advance a motion regarding Green Street?
I make that motion,
Which motion?
advance Green Street.
Advance Green Street as a recommendation?
Right, will we get a second? No, probably vote no.
I could have seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion to advance Green Street as a recommendation to the mayor from Dave Sargent. Is there a second? Having none. Strike Green Street from the considerations. Right. Let's go to the skate park next.
yeah, just,
Up to 5 minutes of discussion of this.
we don't need to open up discussion. We're just gonna.
Okay.
So this is not on school property. Something that should be noted. Park at the school property ends where the buses are.
Okay.
So it's not school property, so this could be used,
City property.
well, school property. School,
It is
it's
city.
city property.
property.
City
It's not
It's not-
O'Malley school property. Which means it can be used, with schools in session. Okay, so there's that. So what would it take for me personally to be, for this acceptable? There would have to be, a replacement skate park. Like already up and running, or as part of the plan or something.
I think in Larry's presentation, he was talking about the volleyball court at Stage 4 Park that was potentially for the pickleball. What if the skate park went at the volleyball court and pickleball over there?
So that brings into this neighborhood losing the
Right,
skate
which is-
park and then other
right.
people gaining a skate park.
Right,
So, yeah, that would be more community development. Like where the skate park would be, I don't think we would have to solve the skate park problem. I think we could just say that there would need to be a skate park in a plan.
Right, but what I'm thinking about it is if they were considering the volleyball area at State Ford Park, obviously that was in play as, potentially, for pickleball. And if the skate park went there centrally located, for inner city people to.
So issues that I heard with that spot would not only have the storm, it's the storm water, velocity area there. Oh, it's technically a velocity area, but you have sort of storm flow.
Yeah,
Storm
yeah,
inundation.
Yeah.
But look where like the reenactment and the waterfront festival, right? I
And the
mean,
Blues Festival, which is
and the
coming.
blues festival, right? So I mean, yes, it's a flat sort of defunct volleyball court, but it's used as just a flat surface now.
Yeah.
So that,
The Waterfront Festival,
Pretty
all the music
yeah,
festivals.
so to build anything down there, it's gonna be an issue, I think.
10 times a year they use that.
Right,
There's some,
and they count on it. It's not big, right? So, yeah.
at a prior meeting, Eric, you mentioned that there was talk in the administration about some difficulties at O'Malley and the importance of, the boys are not all right. And I didn't know to what extent that was sort of official messaging or if it's just,
Well, no, I mean, there was a specific school committee meeting on some issues happening at O'Malley and just like activities for that age demographic, the middle school, 6th to 8th grade, not having enough to do. The Y has programming, a lot of kids go up there, but they're very, I would say this, like, the public would be very they want a place for kids to have something to do. This is an activity center for them. So having a pickleball, I mean, pickleball is for all ages, right? But I think there was a concern that it would be, displacing an activity space for middle schoolers that would be primarily used by a different demographic that's not middle schoolers, right?
And
On middle school property or near middle school properties. So there was concern, but that skate park is like at or near the end of its useful life. It needs to be replaced soon. Obviously you can do some fix up to keep it going. It's not, but it is at that kind of end point. So we do have to think about what comes next.
So the first, Larry's slide acknowledged this issue, this matter. And I just had a question looking at this
Right.
picture of it. The skate park is city, not school property, but the parking lot
Is school property.
is school property.
Yes, and a
So-
helipad and.
So if we had 6 courts there and 24 cars, we'd have a parking issue and
Yeah.
a parking.
This isn't
It'd be like
the
That would have to be, that's an issue that would have to be addressed.
Right.
It's not to say it's a showstopper, but it's
Right.
something that would have to be
High school
addressed.
baseball games fill up that
Right.
whole street all the way
Yeah.
down.
That's what I was just gonna pull it up here,
They
but
could forbid it, you know.
Okay. Okay.
maybe not.
Right. Are there, Kate, do you have any questions or ideas about the skate park?
I was just wondering about that bullet point that said adult on grounds limited time frame. Is that just because of the parking in school? So they couldn't park during school hours? Is that what that means?
You can use the upper parking lot in school hours. They have to park along the,
President Babson Road.
Yeah, Babson Road, yeah. They have to park along the road.
Yeah, so you can't use this parking lot during school hours. I think people park in here,
You could fit over 20 cars down there off the grass.
and I don't think this is no parking.
It's not no parking.
So you're allowed to park along there, but
So might
Yeah.
require some site development to introduce parking to that property.
Is that what that bullet point was referring to? The adults on grounds limited time frame?
My understanding that it was too close, so that was my bullet, and so I sit corrected if that's city property, but you're adjacent to the school property, but for example, the high school was brought up in the past as a possible place too, but that was very limited because of the school grounds.
But I think it does raise that issue that after a game, they would have to go to their cars and leave. They couldn't go wandering around the campus during school day. No one is supposed to
Once
be.
they get on the parking lot, they're on school property, and so that's an issue right there.
Unless we develop parking outside of it. Yes,
Right.
correct.
So
And the same thing with like maybe big playoff games or the Councilor Gilman said about, sharing announcing to the pickleball community, major playoff game going on here.
yeah, so it's closed.
All right, are there any more questions or ideas on this particular one?
If there's I guess if there's another name other than O'Malley School, for that, what do you call that parcel?
I mean, we just have that city of Gloucester, but
See the school prop.
Okay.
It's part
this
of
is
that.
right,
So
That's
that's
part of
also,
that lot.
All
I think it's the Nate Russ,
right,
but we're
what else is on that lot?
the Nate Russ.
Hey, Ross, the
Right.
ball field,
Right.
most of it.
that's
And up above there, is that the
That's the
field?
that's the track, the old track and.
Right.
yeah, this is all one
Yeah.
parcel here.
all right.
But the city owns it, not the school, and what's its do the students use it?
Yeah, the track they do. It's,
Right.
I don't think there's not like a,
Well, there's a whole
There's a lot of stuff
Talk
happening,
about
yeah.
that being on the list of.
Yes.
Right, of overhauling.
they don't use it as much as they could, I
Right,
guess,
but
because of the
focusing
condition.
back on the skateboard park. are there any questions on that particular site alternative for pickleball?
I guess the question would be, how would abatement work with an elevation? So Sweeney Park and these other places that have successful abatement. Here you're looking at this noise from this to this up on Cherry Street.
So that at least creates
know how
taller fences and,
Or, I don't know.
That's 15 feet, is that what you're saying?
It's certainly a sound
150.
study, certainly.
150.
Okay.
All right, so we have
Zero below.
a sound issue to address.
Yeah.
We have
On site.
still the basic issue of displacing a youth activity. And then parking would have to be figured.
Placing a youth activity next to a school.
Yes.
It's in the middle school.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Double check.
is there anyone who would care to make a motion to recommend the skateboard park as a site?
That's the city council.
They're having the same audio problems.
Can we make a motion not to?
Or we just,
Or you just wouldn't second it.
we wouldn't have a motion if no one offers it. We just pass on it.
Well, I'll make a,
So what were the conditions again? There was the noise, line of sight noise, parking, and replacement skate park.
And
Those considerations.
the proximity of a middle school. Not that there'd be anything nefarious, just getting in each other's way. Okay,
you could have adults who said they were going to the pickleball court that would be nefarious, and there would be an end for them.
I don't think we can, anticipate all nefarious acts. So if there's no motion, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to include the O'Malley School skate park as a forwarded to the mayor's office.
Okay, is there a
With the
second?
conditions that we talked about, with the considerations, I should say, not the motion.
Is there a second?
Yeah. I can second it, I guess, because they're considering redoing all of Nick Ross Field. What I heard,
I think the track park,
right,
Nate Ross is in pretty good shape.
okay,
CPC just did drainage on it too,
okay,
a couple of years ago.
all right.
So we have a motion and a second,
Yeah,
right? So
I'll second. Yeah.
further discussion, are there, we'd like to modify this motion to specify any, conditions, such that,
Those are the concerns.
parking be provided for, I don't know how many cars, 30 cars or something like that, 25, 20, 18. That, sound abatement, be appropriate to the site. And what would we have to say about the idea of the youth activity asset?
Then we would have to find an alternative place for the skate.
Okay,
Within the area,
Yeah.
the user, the demographic of the same people that being
Nearby.
across town.
right, and so,
Would you say like Riverdale?
Whatever we call it, yeah, what's the,
That's the neighborhood, Riverdale.
Well, and I would say within the environmental justice community,
Yeah.
which is that, which is part of it, as well as the boulevard is, and
okay.
Right.
All right,
To be fair, when you guys said state park, I thought you were like talking about one of those highly developed.
Right, like the half pipes.
Yeah, and I just looked at it, I was like, oh,
no,
okay,
it's
this is,
decrepit
that
cement
could
features.
be redone
yeah.
someplace else
Yeah.
pretty easily,
all right.
so.
All right, we'll have some
Never
further
mind.
discussion about this motion. My thinking is, in light of, we still have two sites to consider. This site would include as mitigation, the development of another youth activity site. Is it conceivable that the other sites that we are still to contemplate would not require such a thing? I'm just, I don't
think that's true.
okay.
But I'm also not trying to
I know you would.
individually as
Yeah,
well.
okay,
Try a
fair
little.
enough, fair enough. And I was urging that too, but okay. So,
Magnolia Woods has a lot of use, so that would be displacing something. Lack of parking
Yeah,
that's
the
already there.
practice field, right?
Yeah, they said they don't really use that. It's just too swampy to use right now. The
All right.
beavers raised the water tail.
okay, any further discussion?
Guess I'm most concerned about, the social aspects of taking away kids' play stuff near their school and putting,
Even if it is just decrepit.
yeah, well, then they can fix it up for the kids to use it because,
Okay.
and then I just, and we say, oh yeah, we're gonna put a skateboard site somewhere nearby. It's like, considering the problem we've had trying to solve this problem, that's just gonna give us another problem of equal.
That was another
We're
question.
saying that's a condition that we're saying we're submitting that, we're advancing this to the mayor's office with the stipulate, with the consideration that you.
To be
How
on the
used
safe
is it?
side.
Okay,
And
We're
how
saying
often is
that-
it used?
Right.
all right, shall we call the vote?
Tell me again what we're proposing.
All right, the motion is words to the effect that the skate park at O'Malley would be advanced to the mayor's office as a recommended site for pickleball. Noting that accommodations will have to be made for parking that do not include the school district's parking lot. Noting that sound abatement will be more challenging in this site because, or needs to, let me phrase that in a more positive way. Sound abatement will be necessary. And a good look at sound abatement will be necessary. And finally, there will need to be a replacement or of some sort of youth activity
Nearby.
nearby.
In the, what do you call the?
In that district,
environmental-
yeah, DJ district.
And I would put that first, not third.
Okay, all right, well, all right, that's first then. Nearby, there would,
Well, I meant the skateboard,
Yeah,
more so
We
than the
don't-
parking.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
understand.
maybe in consideration for how often it's used, especially if kids go there like right after school.
Okay.
We're
So-
saying there's
I don't know
gonna
how
be,
to say
we're
that.
saying there's gonna be enough that this wouldn't happen without there being a place for the kids to go.
I'm trying to be positive and I'm having a little trouble. In the case, I think this, oh, all right, we can just call the vote, and see where it lands.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Please indicate by saying aye or nay or abstain. Amref is here.
Call me first.
Oops.
Gosh, I'll say aye.
Kate Parsons,
Nay.
Dave Morrow,
Just say no.
Mark Pullen,
Yes.
Dave Sargent,
Yes.
and Dan Morris, and I say no. We've,
Fine.
it's a tie,
So it fails.
so it fails. Okay. All right. The next, site is, let's do Mag Woods next. Add some discussion of Magnolia Woods. If you can call that up. And we'll allow some more time, but we have had some discussion. I don't think we need to state it. Is there a way that, is this acceptable or is there a way to make it acceptable?
We make a motion that the city somehow finds out if it's feasible, this study or another study, and if so, then we're behind it.
Okay, I think what you're saying, Dave, is if we can present this as part of a broader need, and the city can either refocus the consultant proposal, or cover some of the cost in order to advance it.
Well, if they would,
Is that what you're getting at? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I think it's a good choice. The fact that there's a 50K study that seems to be an obstacle. Maybe the city just needs to do it anyway.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how that fits into. I guess I would make a motion that we accept this, and with the understanding that the city will do the study. Can we do that?
Yeah, I'd like to have a bit more discussion before we have a motion, if you don't mind. I just want to make it open to a general discussion. No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to see if there are other topics that folks want to touch on before we do take a motion.
And I really think the city should do the study, even if we weren't looking at the pickleball,
Yeah,
to better utilize, the space.
super valuable space.
It would improve the use, soccer fields, potentially, baseball, travel, trail stewards and everything else. I think it's key to fully utilizing Magnolia Woods to its greatest potential. This was done very quickly and may not have been done according to today's standards. And if that's true, we want to rectify it so that we can use this area to the best of
Sorry, when you were saying this, what was the word this referring to?
the capping of the dump.
The cafe, okay.
My mother-in-law was on the committee that did that.
Right.
Yeah. She was adamant that it would be first class.
Okay.
All the dirt was gonna be top floor. Everything was gonna be done right. So, and I'm looking to see the results of this, but I think that's what's gonna tell us.
That would be good news.
Right. And the committee has communicated to the council and to the mayor's office kind of the broader set of things. Very recently, we made that communication about the broader set of things at Magnolia Woods in response to the Councilor Wordley's thing on the signage, right?
Yeah.
So we took that opportunity to say a bunch of stuff. So that context should be pretty fresh, and maybe we can evoke that. Okay. Right. Other questions or concerns?
Well, I agree with what you said, but I'm also worried about what you said in terms of making it feature creep and now becoming a big study that we don't have money for versus what I think is already overcharged small study. Like a lot of that was like to show up at the meeting 3 times and if we just asked for what can we do right here? It may be
Have that.
I just worry about
Yep.
it getting so big, and now we're talking about we'll be doing the whole
Okay.
thing, and then
So refocus the study. Be specific.
The area, I would think that would be half the price. Would be my guess. In looking at
we don't really even know what the 50 was. How much was it? Only where we might put a pickleball, so we don't know.
Or is that the cover charge?
Right, is that the cover charge?
What I heard from Eric was it was dealing with the entire
Yeah,
site.
there's that, yeah, they were gonna, I mean, the wetlands delineation is
For the entire
for the
site.
entire site, but also,
For this little portion, it would probably be half that.
And I
So
believe at
Or
the
even
time,
less
we
than
had
that.
other sites in mind, pickleball, other sites on.
I
So-
think that 150 line that's the wetlands right there.
Right.
Yeah.
That sits up there.
so
It's within riverfront, and riverfront's 200 feet from perennial stream. But that's already what they call a degraded area. So you're really not impacting by putting something in, you're not worsening the biological functions of the area. You could improve that by between the pickleball area and what's already degraded by putting native plantings in there. And that would actually improve, the drainage, and it would also improve the biological functions of the area. So at first glance, as I said, first blush, seems to be a very formidable site from a wetlands
Could it be
standpoint.
nudged to the left?
Yeah, really. Like,
I just don't know.
Right, you could nudge it to the left and down a little bit, be outside the 200 if you wanted to.
Okay, so
Um,
or
I just wanna show the topo map.
Okay. We good.
If we, I don't know if that's taking too much time, but I'll just throw it in the background.
Back to funding though, so now on the flip side of that is if you did say it was for the whole thing, you may then bring in CPC and state money
Right,
to do the whole thing.
Right.
Right.
So, right, there's that, there's a.
But I don't think we want pickleball on the same time frame as the total rehab.
Not the total rehab, I'm talking about like CPC funding for a study that included all of Mag Woods.
But ideally, yeah, I follow you. I follow you. Ideally, the funding.
If you do both.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so clearly the study, we will make a statement about the refocusing the study to be specific to the lower site. And I think we can phrase it in a way that might ask for our own DPW to in Concom to do a review of the site, for example.
Well, CONCOM can't do a review.
No, you can't.
No,
Can't do any kind
you
of.
can be
preliminary-
the applicant if you're reviewing it.
I understand.
It's
Okay.
incestuous.
Okay. Wouldn't go that far. All right.
Is this an abandoned field down here I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like, this is from 2023, this image.
So there was a field there already.
There was a, yeah,
Yeah.
they don't use it
My kids played
anymore.
on that.
And we're
No
not
one
talking,
uses-
Okay.
No one uses it.
we're not talking about putting anything in the ground, are we? Or do we have to put something in the ground?
There's foundational material. in this.
Yeah, you have to have it asked, you need a
Okay,
base and
okay.
asphalt and,
Yeah.
you know,
Wood
fence posts.
posts.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything else on this topic? All right. Would anyone care to make a motion, if care to, regarding Magnolia Woods?
We should recommend it to the mayor as a site for pickleball courts. And I don't think it should necessarily be limited to the number that they had. I mean, if we go to all this trouble, put some more in there. I mean, we could cover that whole field with them. Cause what the heck, if you're building it anyway? Well, you had 8 there, but that was.
I don't,
That was six.
that was just 6, that was 6.
I mean, 8, 10, why not?
20.
Oh.
We can call it the Pickleplex.
Yeah.
You could recommend to optimize it.
And we
You
could call
just
it
leave it.
the Great
you know,
American.
And are there any conditions or ideas that you want to, as Counselor Gillen was talking about, that would kind of make this maybe more acceptable? Well, for example, urging the city to refocus the study
Yes.
on the lower lot.
And accepting that there will be times when pickleball can't be played due to large sporting events and making that
Okay.
upfront.
Um,
And they're gonna have to do some fill in there, because it's swampy.
Recognizing the
We'll grant
conflict
things.
of high use days.
And if you're adding the appropriate vegetation to it, will help it.
Okay.
That'll help get our scheduling.
Yeah.
So everybody knows when there's a soccer.
Yeah, come on.
All right, so the motion is to the effect that a recommendation to the mayor to use Magnolia Woods for a pickleball site, urging the mayor's office to refocus the study, the Weston and Sampson study to on the lower site, and acknowledging that there will have to be some sort of coordination. I wouldn't specify it at this point, but some sort of coordination around high use days at the fields.
I'm seeing already a whole bunch of other opportunities, but we don't need to mention them now. But
Great.
do we want to have any mention of the other things we talked about in the Magnolia Woods? The study supporting the gate or any of the other things? Do we want to put that?
I think it would be helpful to, in the correspondence, not necessarily included in this, but I could, yes, we could have, whether in the motion or not, we could include in the communication a reminder about the other things, or even attach the document that we previously had sent description of the other things around Magnolia Woods. Okay. Right, is there a second for this vague but supportive motion? Okay, thank you, Tom. All right. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, just make sure we tune in. Okay, all right. Let's call the vote. We'll begin. I won't begin with Tom this time. Dave Sargent.
Yes.
Yes. Mark Poulin.
Yes.
Dave Morrow.
Yes.
Tom Vizier.
Yes.
Kate Parsons.
Yes.
And Dan Morris, yes. Okay, very good.
In the proposal, should we specify where in the Magnolia Woods we're talking about? Because we all know what we're talking about, but the thing you didn't, it's not just in the Magnolia Woods, it's in the lower field of the Magnolia Woods.
Lower field, and we can include that image.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Stage Fort Park. You could open up that slide, Eric, and I will, let's hear what you think about. You have talked a little bit about it already, Dave. You mentioned sort of the contiguous expanse of green and where its inherent value and aesthetic value. Are there other pros and cons of the Magwoods? Or Stage Fort, yes.
Sound echoing across the water.
Yeah, there would have to be a sound study.
Right.
We have it, the city has a decibel or something.
Maybe I have a question perhaps for Larry. If you have the sound attenuation panels in place, how is there a percentage diminishment of the broadcast sound? Or
Pretty much 10 decibels, like cuts it in half is what I've read. And we know Manchester has some data on that would be acquirable
Okay.
on how well it's worked out for them.
Right.
But I've seen just 10 dB talked about in the
A 10
advertisement.
dB reduction.
Yeah, 10 dB, which I'm pretty sure is
And
half.
it's a logarithmic scale, so it's.
Right. So, what is the normal sound on a pickleball court?
Like 80 decibels.
Okay, so you're up there.
And it's a weird noise. There's actually
Right.
Facebook sites on this because it's a
Of course there are.
annoying, it's very, it's the frequency, it's a little bit, yeah, you don't want to live next door to it.
But if you're up to 80, you're getting up there anyway.
Yep.
So even with
And the people screaming is even louder.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is.
I think get quieter, Pat.
Okay, that's,
They've
They
tried
have
that.
them, but they're not enforceable.
okay. It's a concern about sound and its propagation across the harbor. Is one, is that mitigable, or is that do you think that's mitigable? If you have the screens in place, it reduces the sound intensity by half.
Right.
We don't know how we don't know how 70 dB sound would carry. They're noting also though that it's a park and that people do scream. There's a playground where there's probably lots of screaming.
right.
And there's a lot of gunfire there recently, actually. But
And then it goes across the water, and that's part of the reason why cannons were used on sailing ships,
yes.
because it was more frightening that way.
Okay, so are there other, it's a good issue, and so let's capture it and make sure it's part of our considerations, but are there others?
Parking is, gotta have a resident sticker to get in that parking. Or else you gotta reserve it in advance. That's not just parking. That's the tightest controlled Gloucester parking, right? Like the beaches.
It's conceivable that there would have to be coordination or understanding that there are high use days when
No, I'm just saying, if you happen to live in Manchester and you want to come play there, you're gonna have to pay like $15 to get into the park or something.
or park on Stacy Boulevard.
Yeah. There is other places, but
Yeah.
we can't count on that parking lot. A sticker, but
Yeah, right. It would be free for local people with a beach sticker.
yeah,
So a beach sticker would be required.
maybe we will like that. Maybe we want it to be for Gloucester people. I don't know.
Well, that's our primary concern, but we do use the facilities in other towns and cities, and we'd like to share with others.
May I,
Yeah.
with Manchester, like, anybody, what is the rules there? Anybody can go? Okay. They don't have like residency requirements or anything.
Not at this time. They also, I should have had before, but it's very well managed. Initially it was just free for all, come in and play. But now, there's some volunteers for the town that, and they schedule, a court can be used for lessons. There's open play at a certain time. There's youth play at a certain time. So it's lots of good, a model to follow, in the future. But so they've, evolved the usage of the courts to make it as good as possible for all people. But any resident can go there from wherever. They do not check that, to answer your question.
All right. And right now, parking at Magnolia Woods is not controlled, so that would be. Anyway, so back to stage 4 though, are there other questions, concerns? Good points, merits.
This is, the figure it's gonna have a big green wall around it. Like the one in Manchester. Is that?
Yeah, and this is supposed to be in the pastoral section of, of Edgewood Park, and I don't think,
Half that court in the picture looks just falling off the hill there. That's a pretty steep slope down in the water.
I just having a question about, Larry was saying it can be placed in different places in there, and that's good to know. I do have a quick way of measuring distance, Eric.
It's like a markup. It's not the best, but,
Okay, from the water in,
from here,
right? Wasn't 200 feet our concern?
that's with riverfront.
That's river, so the
Right.
same doesn't apply in tidal zone.
Well, you would do it from coastal bank, which is, probably the edge of where that white line is.
right?
Okay,
That's partly,
so where's
that's not definitive that that's coastal bank.
go west
It's
200
seawall.
feet.
But that, the coastal bank could be further up, but that's potentially coastal bank.
Okay, so going east of that point would require a different consideration. But west of that point would be without that.
I think you can put it in there without any problems with Concom as long as you're close to the road. There's no doubt about that.
Okay,
As to where the coastal bank is, it really has to do with elevation.
okay, all right.
Where,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. I was just thinking about the river front.
it's
the
a
other
different
place.
criteria.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions or pot shots or great ideas?
Yeah. Can we assume that the location identified as the best one for Stage 4 Park? Cause I'm looking, well, there's some space there and there's some space there.
Right,
No, I mean,
I think this was kind of, Larry,
That was just an arbitrary
Right.
plopping it across from the ball hockey.
Yeah.
But shifting it
you can do that.
one way or the other is
is there any place on the other side of the road where you could fit it?
No, we
that, no.
looked at the
Houses.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
right.
Sledding Hill, the all important Sledding Hill.
You're talking about over here?
I was just talking between the
Like
dog park and
between-
the.
Between or
Oh, yeah,
between,
right, yeah.
Topography too.
Yeah, topography in the houses.
And this one, I mean, that is a part, like,
parking.
sometimes that's overflow parking, but it also
Always is.
drops off.
People are parking there today.
Okay, any other questions? Kate, do you have anything for us?
Nope.
All right, is there anyone who would like to make a motion to advance, Stage Fort Park in, I'm not sure how to characterize that. Do you know the name of that particular lawn? I think they all have names.
I mean, it's Lucy Davis, above Lucy Davis
Or the-
path or something like that.
Okay, the lawn across from the,
The
street legends.
Yeah.
Okay,
So how did the War Memorial folks get permission to do that?
That's through ARPA monies. And that's another consideration is that this is like a
How did they get?
reflecting area, you know, Vietnam Memorial, so it's something to consider.
So you're a Vietnam vet, and you're at the Vietnam thing, and you're bang, bang, bang. Pickleball.
Yeah.
okay. We're digressing. It's getting late in the meeting. We need to do this. Okay, folks. So we will characterize this as a location in the lawn across from the street edge, across Howe Street from the Street Legends youth hockey. Right. Is there anyone who would care to offer a motion regarding a recommendation on the site? Hearing none, I don't think we'll consider this. Vote on this. Puts our eggs in the Magnolia Woods basket.
Sorry, but it's gonna be a delay to that study on that.
Well, if
Sure.
we truncate it as Dan has suggested, might not, take as long as if it were a larger study.
There's a lot of things I'm hopeful about, but I just,
So,
Yeah.
First off, I want to thank Larry and the pickleball advocates for being here tonight and for their persistence in this topic. I hope that you have seen in our deliberation, it maybe haphazard, it may have appeared haphazard at times. We have people here who care and have given this topic some consideration. And we do greatly appreciate the sort of the study and the baseline and the briefing that Larry has provided. I think, and I had a note here that I wanted to, the committee has to take that into effect, into account, but also takes into account their own experience and their own communications with members of the public about all of the properties that we hear. I hear it about at the Y trying to get a workout. But it comes up, I want to tell you about East Gloucester. Okay, thank you. It happens all the time, and I think all of us experience that. And so our conversation tonight has been informed by that, as well as just our use of the spaces in our own getting around town. So I don't know, perhaps the outcome of this proceeding has been disappointing. I hope it isn't. I think you will find the full support of this committee in advancing that recommendation for Magnolia Woods. And as I mentioned, we see that as so Dave was the chair of the Magnolia Woods Oversight and Advisory Committee, came to this committee and brought issues before us, and we've been working on them since he's been here. We have a commitment for one thing from DPW on there, but we're trying to present a whole package. And I think we'll be very careful to say that this shouldn't wait for the whole package. This is something that we have a great deal of public support for. And I think, I can put that sort of language in the letter to the mayor. What I will do is draft a letter and I will send it out to the committee for sending your edits to Eric, as we have to do outside of meeting. And then we'll perfect it and send it to the mayor. So then I also want to thank the committee. I think this has been a lively discussion and an important discussion and a hard one. And we don't get to vote and, confer in this way very much. And so this has been healthy, and I really appreciate the tone of it and the work that you all have put into it. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, that's the end of that topic. I think we have one topic that we have to address in this meeting. So thank you.
Thank
See all.
you.
Thank you, guys. I think we have to address one more topic in this meeting that I'm going to suggest we table the remaining. And this one topic is, it's a change at the conservation services state for the Commonwealth. There's an opportunity to extend the effective term of the open space and recreation plan for 3 years. So instead of expiring in 2029, it would expire in 2032. They're making this offer across the Commonwealth. It's not just to us. We have to apply for this extension for some reason by the end of September. It is an opportunity to insert changes, but you don't have to insert changes. My sense in talking to Eric, the benefit of it is that if you recall, it took us 2 years to put together the plan, and that's all we did. And it was COVID, it was hard, and people were getting sick and forums were hard to come by. But it was a lot of work. And so if we can put this off and extend it to make it a 10-year plan, that keeps us from having to go through that again. Now, a downside of that is the plan doesn't get updated, but we can always update the plan. We can offer amendments to the plan out of cycle.
In
So,
this particular case, I mean, because of this extension.
no, anytime.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's not necessarily a layup. You have to go through review processes
Right, right.
and all that.
Okay.
But if we had something that we felt important, we could offer an amendment to, I think I'm in school here. Yeah, and so Eric might have some notes here that he wants to share with us.
Yeah, so, there was an email sent to our conservation agents, who then forwarded it to me. But they've updated open space and recreation plans to give us another, like every community, another 3 years eligibility. You're eligible for grants and you don't have to go through this. It was a gargantuan effort, like Dan was saying. I talked to Melissa Cryan at the Division of Conservation Services. She said you can like literally resubmit what we have, but they did sort of suggest a possible public hearing. We do have open meetings about it. We're working on these goals constantly, and I kind of gave her that background. And she sort of encouraged us to add amendments to it if we are working on these additional goals. You don't need to do a public hearing. You don't.
Wouldn't at least the piece of the 1 to 3 and 3 to like the stuff that ends up as a 7-year,
Yeah,
if some of that has to get stretched out to 10.
That's a good point.
So
yes.
there's that,
I'm
at least
just
a
gonna-
piece of it. I don't know what section that
That's
was,
a good
but that's
point.
one piece of it.
Yeah,
And that may be an opportunity to look at those things and see if we're missing it. Because you're right, we don't want to jump into the 500 pages.
No.
Whatever it is.
we're not gonna be doing like a whole new,
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a 3 to
some things
5
have
years,
changed, right? Like the Normandy is now a 330 acre new, I
Yep.
mean, that's Manchester's
Yeah,
acres
no,
combined, but a new space, Poles Hill's a new space that we did. But that was actually, part of some of the
Yeah.
goals that we had.
Yeah.
So we could provide some of those updates. We're not going through a huge descriptive process, but,
I see what you're saying, right, so we achieved some of the goals, so those are now in a different place in the inventory or something.
And
yeah,
Eric, is it conceivable that we could ask for the extension from DCS
Mhm.
and then use a memo that is basically local
I see, yeah.
to express an amendment? I mean, it wouldn't be accepted by DCS, but could it possibly be part of the record locally?
I
You follow
can-
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could ask that. I'm gonna try to meet with her again to discuss this, so I will bring that up, yeah.
But many of these things aren't 7 years. Some of them are, but
Yeah, the time frames, but it's more of a,
so.
the whole open space plan is just by 2029, hopefully we've addressed these things. These are the,
Yeah, but if we had a 7-year plan in a 10-year document, is that a problem?
It may not be.
May not.
Yeah. Right.
I think some communities have had trouble getting all this stuff done in 7 years and asked for
Right.
additional extension, and
Right.
maybe that's why this is happening.
But isn't it assumed, yeah, that's a good point, Dave. So isn't it assumed if you don't make your 3-year deadline, it's now a 5-year deadline, you know,
Right, yeah.
you're gonna extend it. So if you don't make the 7-year
Yeah.
but your plan is still open,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's,
And you presumably should amend it to change that, saying we need another couple of
Yep.
years for this one thing.
right,
I don't really see a problem.
okay.
Great.
So we have if I may, Eric,
Yeah.
we have a little bit of time with this, in that we do have until the end of September. And
September 30th.
it
the
might,
last day.
as a courtesy to the public, to have a short, open comment or a, public comment on this particular question at the next meeting. So that if somebody was, I don't know, they're open space geeks and they really were excited about getting involved with drafting the new plan beginning in 27. Now they'd have to wait till 30.
They could help us make amendments.
They should join the committee.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they could suggest amendments.
Yeah,
couldn't they?
Yeah, yes, that would be
So
a
it's
good,
really only the things on that table that have said 5 to 7 or had 7 in it that would affect in any way. The ones that are 3 to 5 are still 3 to 5.
right,
You have to anticipate that nobody's gonna read it. Gonna come and say something.
right,
And 90% of what they say is gonna already be in the plan.
right. And I think,
That's what's probably gonna happen.
sorry, Dave, go ahead.
And I'm looking forward to opening it up to the public where somebody said, my mind is full of open space.
But another,
Describing us.
we don't have to update the baseline because it says in the document in 2022, the baseline was this.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not saying the report or the plan starts now and we have to describe the current baseline.
Correct.
That's
Right,
true.
yeah.
Right, so we only, so all we're doing is extending the end date.
Yeah.
So Kate, do you have any questions about this idea?
No, I think it makes sense to me to extend it. I don't see any downsides.
So what if we plan on having a comment period for the public at the next meeting on this particular topic? And at that meeting, Eric will have had a couple of conversations and I may join you on a conversation with DCS on this. And then we will, at the next meeting, we can vote on how to proceed. Does that work in
Yeah.
your timeline?
That totally works, because that's
Okay.
enough time.
Okay,
We need a motion for this.
I don't think so. It's just a process note.
As another note, the things that, 1 to 3 years and stuff, are we supposed to be monitoring those and seeing if we're gonna get there?
That's a good idea.
I think
I normally
I should
do
have
know.
that as a,
Anyway,
So
on the spreadsheet.
I think it's a really, really good idea and, but it's a very big report, right? So, I think,
maybe when they just get to their end of their 3 years, if they're 1 to 3 and we go, did we get there?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be
Yeah.
something that we should,
Where it really helps is when you're applying for a grant.
Yeah.
You say that this is one of our action items, and this is when we wanted to get it done.
Mhm.
yes,
So that's where it's really important.
okay.
and, but no passes. Okay,
Well, the
All right.
pickleball people are here.
yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, what we're doing now, where, a member or two are championing, if that's a verb, particular, topics, like the Dogtown and bike ped and that sort of thing. That is, we're not taking on all of those things, but we're trying to ensure that those several things are active because they're of personal interest. And, this is a venue in which we can express that. But looking more broadly might be a great idea. Kind of updating our activity list would be great.
Review it every year or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not a bad idea. We are due a semi-annual report in September, so that may be a good occasion to take another look at the full list. Okay. All right.
What didn't we get to tonight?
What didn't we get to? All right, good question.
Want me to pull up the agenda?
Yeah, I have it right here. So access and signage at open space properties. Chris Leahy prepared that document. I think it's a good baseline. my brain works stepwise, and so that's what I kind of look for in kind of a project management scenario. This is more narrative, and it does have some great information about this kind of information that might be on signs at different kinds of sites. And I think that's a good start. And I think we table that until Chris and Richard are at the next meeting.
Summer, sorry, Dan, if I
Of
may,
course.
but Summer, you sent this out to everybody. Where did you? As the top of Zoom all gets in the way, but Summer did send out. And it's in the shared drive, but something related to this, like the open space signage.
Other than the document you forwarded to us.
Yeah, I just took Chris's document, put it into a spreadsheet.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay.
That's great. That's very helpful.
It needs to, that needs to be condensed a little bit, that.
Okay. That's more how,
Colony.
that's more how my brain works. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'll tell
great.
you where Little River Park is, if you can't find it.
I have an idea where that is.
All right.
I wrote down all of the things that they said that they couldn't find and I suggestions as to where they are.
Yeah.
Great.
I can take a picture.
All right, good. So it sounds like we're ready to move that forward with Chris and Tamra and Richard.
Yeah.
All right, next item is upgrading Gloucester sports fields. This is the O'Malley and Magnolia thing. And I was unable to meet with Adrian but I've done like a simple kind of stepwise thing that has goal and vision, kind of the admin behind it, assessing demand for field time and anticipating future field time and whether people can play on, kids can play on smaller fields. And then an inventory and condition of fields, and then transitional play for fields transitional plan for field use during rehab. And it's very immature, but it's just an outline.
Start with something.
Yeah, and this is informed by a discussion that I had with Mike Hale.
Okay.
All right, and Eric. And it's report of the chair's meeting on DPW. I've done that. Just, that's what we talked about. We had talked about some other things, but I think that's the most noteworthy.
Did you?
That Star
I'm
Wars is.
just curious if New Way Lane came up in that conversation.
Uh,
Boy.
no, it did.
Okay.
No, it didn't. And then emerging issues, Kate sent me something and I failed to be responsive. But maybe Tom or Kate would like to talk about this, but it's a Mass Audubon Field Naturalist Certificate Program. Sounds fantastic. Kate, would you like to mention it or do you want to?
Honestly, it's 7:13 and I would love to talk about this, but I don't want to talk about it right now. So I think the next meeting will be fine.
Let's table it. All right. I would very much appreciate a motion to adjourn.
Can I just bring up one very
Of course.
thing? I was looking for the May meeting minutes online because I didn't have them in my email. And I saw that our meeting minutes, the latest version is from January. I think that's what I saw. Which is, I looked around at other committees and.
So I brought that up. Okay, so I brought that up last meeting.
Okay, never mind.
I failed to do I don't know, I would have fixed that part of it, but fix the instructions was an action I had last time.
Okay, as long as somebody's on it, I was.
Well,
I am on this. Kate.
Yeah,
I'm putting it
Eric's
in my
on it too.
calendar. First thing tomorrow morning, this will be processed. I promise by the end of the week, all these minutes will be in the public drive.
In that case, I will make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.
Second that.
Is there a second? Okay. And we have to do a roll call vote.
Yes, we do.
All right, and because I think I need my list here. So please indicate by saying aye or nay. Tamra,
Aye.
Dave Morrow,
Let me think about it. Oh, yes.
Dave Sargent,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes, please.
and I vote yes as well. So we adjourn. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. And thanks for joining us.
So, this one,
Bye-bye.
this is the proposed site. This is the